Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Space Engineers Plus Me, episode 88. I'm Enigmius, and today we're taking a look at a work-in-progress build. This is the WobbleCopter Mk.II. It's been kind of quiet with the Space Engineers content for me, and that's because I've been trying a number of things and none of them worked. I want to kind of exhaust the possibilities before we declare it as a no-go. And that's kind of what we did with the sensors and gyros and sensors and anything to do with sensors and more sensors, and eventually we just got sick of finding out where sensors don't work. So we came up with another idea, and this idea is going to be a lot more on the practical side. It's going to require fewer convoluted moving systems that are fun to design when they work, but when they don't work, kind of a waste of time. And this is basically the skeleton of it. It's almost done. It's like 95% done. There's just a few tweaks that I have to make, a few minor things to add, and then we'll be able to move forward to the second part of this build, which will be even larger. So we're just going to take a quick look at it. We've got kind of a roundish, egg-shaped sort of structure, and it's designed to be pretty light, because we have to be able to move this thing around on planets with the inventory absolutely full. And that's going to be kind of the goal for this, is the ship should be able to go anywhere on a planet with completely full inventory and not feel like you barely have control, or even worse, find a spot where you suddenly have no control whatsoever and crash the ship. So we've got a bunch of engines in place. We've got 12 large atmospheric engines. I don't think that's the most that we've had on a ship, but it's the most that we've had on a ship in a long time. And the important thing to note is they're atmospheric engines, they're atmospheric thrusters, so that if you want to be using them on moons or asteroids for whatever reason, you're going to have to swap them out for ion or maybe even hydrogen if you're feeling ballsy, and put a bunch of tanks or some oxygen generators on the ship, whatever. As far as this goes, I'm just thinking in terms of planets, because we haven't done anything on Mars yet. We mentioned this in the last episode. We got all the way out here, heading to the Mars-like planet. We spent some time on the moon, and then we're almost ready to start building a ship to go away. We realized we haven't done anything here. Not only that, we need more resources to finish building our space station. So we've got the beginnings of a planet miner well underway. We've got large ion thrusters for maneuvering, so that it can maneuver outside of atmosphere if it has to, and in this case obviously it has to, because we're in zero-G space with no atmosphere. We've got enough large ion thrusters underneath that we can get around. We aren't completely reliant on the atmospheric ones, but when it gets down to the planet's surface, these are going to be the things that are holding it in place and preventing it from crashing into the ground. You can see we've got some gyros and a reactor tucked underneath there. We've got the beginnings of the borehead in place. We just have to add the drills, basically, and maybe make one or two minor modifications depending on how it's looking. But I kind of expect that this will be the size of the borehead. Like the last one is going to be 4 blades on the bore instead of the 2 like we would normally have in previous models, I guess you could say. And then it's going to be hopefully a pretty aggressive kind of design. It's going to chew through the material fairly quickly and allow us to just mine as much as we can, as fast as we can, and get on with our lives. So that's going to be kind of the idea. We've got an auto gyro set up here, and you can see it's already auto gyroing. The thing is, when you're building and you've got things like rotors that allow things to move, and you don't lock the rotors before you do things like weld and such, is they tend to move, and that's what happened here. We actually wound up with this inner ring bouncing all over the damn place and doing quite a bit of damage before we finally locked it down, repaired the damage, and then got everything squared away so that we can continue. I'm going to leave things locked until we get down to the planet, and then we can unlock them and let gravity do the whole balancing act for us. We don't have to worry about changing around settings and things of that nature. So the lower section here is the borehead, and it's got the auto gyro for the self-leveling, and then based on that, we're going to have these wheels. And I know wheels haven't always been our friend, but this is a smaller wheel, so hopefully less damage when it does silly things it's not supposed to. And the purpose of these wheels is so that as the WobbleCopter is being lowered into the ground, the wheels will kind of make contact with the edge of the hole that we're drilling and keep it from smashing into things, hopefully, because as we know, sometimes things like to tilt and shift and stuff when we're drilling. So we're going to hopefully keep a lid on that with the wheels that are just set to have a little bit of springiness to them, and otherwise like zero friction, stuff like that. They shouldn't really be doing too much aside from that little bit of shock absorption, and hopefully won't be doing that freewheel wobble that kind of destroys things around them. So I kind of left space around them as best I could, but if you look over here, for example, this upper wheel, directly behind it we have an atmospheric thruster, and if this wheel decides it's going to be angry about something, it could be the atmospheric thruster that winds up paying for it. So that's something we have to be wary of. But other than that, it was kind of a compromise. We can't do the thing with the sensors because it doesn't work properly with the ground, and it doesn't work properly with sections of the ship that are, even though considered part of a different grid, won't be considered part of a different ship for the purpose of detection. So we're doing the best we can with what we've got. And then lastly, up here amongst all the other thrusters, the large ion maneuvering thrusters, we've got a control seat and a remote control block, and we're actually going to be using the remote control block for a lot of the controls. Once we get this thing down on a planet, I don't want to have to be going down to the planet every 15 minutes to move the damn drill. I want to be able to just hop into a control seat or a console or something like that while we're up here, ship with an antenna, reach out and touch someone at the remote control block, and do what we need to do from there, and then get back to our business up here. I think that'll be the easiest way to do it. So that's why this is here. And then this is here also because I just kind of like having it here. It's a convenience. It's not necessarily a difficult thing to add. And also when we're building and we're running out of power, it's nice to be able to just scoot over there now and hop in and recharge the suit. So we've been busy. And like I say, we just finally got it to the point now where I feel like we're close enough to being done that we can show it off. Talk about how things are set up so you can see while things are exposed. We've got conveyors that go from the bottom there all the way up the side and around the top to a large container. And then the large container basically sits flush with the top, and we're going to have probably a conveyor sorter and then a connector. I don't know if we're going to have merge blocks. I haven't 100% decided yet, but I'm kind of leaning in the direction of yes. But the whole idea here is that this ship in a side... I'm losing my ability to use the English language. Aside from being small and light for the purpose of managing how many thrusters we have to have on it, I also wanted it to be fairly cheap so that we can make these in multiples without bankrupting ourselves and have many, many drilling operations going on at the same time, where we can just let them go and not really be too worried about them, use the remote control to our advantage to move things around or even shut things down without having to go and do it, face to face, so to speak. And then we're going to build a drop ship that's going to hold 6 or 8 of these so that we can take them all down to the planet surface at once, deploy them wherever we want them, and then the drop ship will be able to pick up materials from these guys as they fill up. It'll have even more carrying capacity relative to each one of these guys, so that when we come back to a processing location, we can actually offload a pretty significant amount of material as opposed to little bits and pieces at a time. And when I say little bits and pieces, I'm talking about 1 million kilograms here, 500,000 kilograms there. It may sound like a lot, but when we build things on the scale of our station and the Atlas Mk.II and all of these other things, this stuff doesn't go very far. So we need to kind of up the scale of what we're extracting so that we can keep up with the pace of what we're building. Once we get this station ready, this is going to be our central processing area, and then we're going to start building a very, very large ship to get us to the alien-like planet with guns and ammunition to protect ourselves from the horrible, horrible alien-like monstrosities that we'll find. I don't even think I have them turned on right now, but we can change that. But you get the idea. We've got big plans requiring big ships, requiring big loads of materials extracted from planets, and this is hopefully the first step in allowing us to do that on a very large scale. So the next episode, we're going to see this likely complete. The first design will be complete, possibly even down on the surface of the planet, doing some tests on the auto gyro and the stabilization from the wheels, extracting things from the ground. And then after that, we'll be looking at the dropship and making sure we have enough materials to build multiple of these. And then once we're set up with the mining, that's when we'll go whole hog on the station and our expeditionary ship for the alien-like planet. So if you want to be notified when I add all those episodes, you can subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media, as always, are in the information section below the video. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.